It's Friday. I forget it up on time. It's 9 o'clock. This is The Musical Show, where I review music for the 587th time. I'm gonna grab that drink, actually. Okay. Right then, let's go into some re-reviews. Will I have a sip of my wine? Just pretend I'm 18 and this is wine. Thanks. Starting off with Loive, whatever, Bewitched. I did overrate it a bit, I'll be honest, but the light vibe from Fantano, I do completely disagree with. What the fuck? This album is beautiful, vocally and instrumentally, and has brilliant lyricism, especially in Promise, and one of my favourite songs all year. A letter to my 13-year-old self. What a song. Other songs that are especially beautiful include Haunted and Must Be Love. But there are basic moments such as Serendipity that don't have the beautifulness of the rest of the album and are just kind of eh. And whilst this album does do its sound incredibly well, doesn't do much interesting with it. But doing the basics to perfection will still give you an amazing album if it's literally done to its highest potential. And in my eyes, in this album, it kind of is. So, yeah. When it's at its best, few albums rival it. 8.6 out of 10. Moving on to Daniel Caesar's Never Enough, which is honestly one of the most overrated albums of the year by some people. But, yeah. What I will say is, when it's at its best, Toronto 2014 is incredible. From Mustafa to Daniel himself and that wonderful instrumental, it is absolutely incredible. And probably the best R&B, indie, whatever you really consider it. It's one of the best songs in this field in a long time. Amongst this, Always and Shot My Baby stood out, with the latter having a wonderful instrumental with amazing production. Let Me Go probably has the best vocal performance as well, because Daniel Caesar, Jesus. But this album, it was pretty basic in its field. Like, come on. What did this album do with any interest sonically, aside from, like, its really good songs? Really, not much. Songs like Valentina are boring, and there's also Buyer's Remorse, which, aside from some cool samples and stuff, is genuinely horrendous. Ty Dolla $ign does what he usually does on Rumours a Song on Homosexual, and it was already not that great to begin with. Like, I don't want to hear that, you don't like fun. It's not fun at all, it's boring. It made me go night-night. I've probably defended some albums because I find them fun. Like the Måneskin album, I gave that a 7. It's not a 7 anymore for sure, but like, come on. Read Your Diary is a fucking banger. Anyway, the lyricism was also not bad, and usually actually pretty good, but on the chorus of Always and Unstoppable, it's just, like, it's so base level, it's so mid, like, who's gonna stop me? I'm unstoppable. I gathered, no shit. Always, I don't want things to change, I pray things stay the same. I saw Together from the Face Line, mate, there was no need. It sounds dumb, and shit like that bugs me. Especially when, Daniel can do a lot better. Overall, this album, aside from its highlights, was just, like, solid. It's a good listen and all, but, like, it's not that special. For a Nothing Special album, though, it does beat Nothing Special pretty well. 7.2 out of 10. And here's a little EP I missed. New Jeans' second EP, Get Up by New Jeans, who everyone seems to love. It seems to be that one K-pop band everyone seems to like. But, like, first off, the culture of it is disgusting. Some of the evil exploitation this group have had to go through, music video-wise, by their label, just in a number of other ways. Obviously, ETA had a load of controversy for its name, and, like, all the other shit, and all the other comparisons to a terrorist group. As much as the song's a banger, like, come on. It's fucking disgusting. Most of the group are still minors. The oldest person in the group is 18, so, like, it's just not really good, innit? The way they're absolutely exploited, and disgusts me. But musically speaking, New Jeans was solid but nothing really special. Super Shy is overrated, and it's kind of annoying, but, like, it's still a banger. ETA, as I said, has the awful backstory, has the awful music video, but as a song, it slaps. Cool With You was just a dud. Get Up was an interlude, but it did its job. And ASAP, it's horny. That's Cookie off the first one. The first EP is amazing. But Get Up was corny, but like honestly, it was really fun. Overall, it's pretty bland a lot of the time. It's often corny. It's not as good as their first EP. The first EP was ridiculously good, but like it's fun, it's enjoyable, and great overall. And with any luck, they might actually stop being exploited one day. 7.3 out of 10. And now, now for the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Why am I singing? 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 projects that I listened to that released on Friday that I've listened to over the past week. Right, starting off with Nelly's Rhythm Blend at the bottom, and yeah, wish I never had to tick off Nelly Afrobeats project from my 2023 bingo card because good lord, it sucks. Single is bland and boring as his profile, but even more so. Nickel Batia was the best song as it had a decent instrumental, but Nelly, as he was for every single song here, was awful vocally, and yeah, no exceptions in that. Then the final 2 tracks were Enjoy and Ajay. Both boring, unenjoyable, and had no redeeming qualities. But yeah, overall, one good instrumental aside, this EP has nothing good in it at all. Stick to the old stuff if you can even bear that. Don't know how this guy got famous, he's ass. 0.8 out of 10. Moving on to 2 Rare. Don't know how he got famous either, but he dropped Truth or Rare. Yay! This album wasn't terrible, in an offensively bad way, but it was terrible. It was just bad because it was boring and lyrically dog shit. Songs such as Ray's Room and One of One, Back It Up, had every chance of being good or even tolerable, completely shattered by how god-awful the lyricism was. Amongst this, the production was pretty dry and soulless and very repetitive. It was just insanely bland drill or JC Club, although if it was played at a club, everyone would fall asleep. No one is getting lit to that shit. And there were also some horrendously terrible songs, such as Opener, Thug Story Part 2, which starts off with the intro he used to his XXL verse, which is why it sucks. But, you know, some songs weren't terrible and had decent enough beats, and Just Do It, I'll admit, it's kind of a banger. But, yeah, that aside, the album sucks. It's boring and uninteresting and insanely bland from front to back. It's not one of the worst things I've ever heard, but, like, it wasn't great either. At all, it was actually awful, 1.8 out of 10. Moving on to Kylie Minogue's Tension. I think I might be missing something because I just don't like this album at all. To me, it just sounds like boring and bland electropop I've heard so many times and didn't even sound good. Like Ava Max, it's basic as fuck, but like, come on. It slaps. She knows how to make a hit. She knows how to make a hit very well. She knows how to make a good hit. Dancing's Done is still in my rotation, I'll be honest. It's fire. Even worse though, back to Kylie Minogue. The vocals are horrendous and mixed awfully on some songs. Padam Padam was sort of like the big hit. Sort of the big hit. I think it went number 1. Don't know why, because it's shit. And, you know, apart from the name attached to the song, I don't get why anyone would like it at all. The vocals are awful and the mixing on them is somehow worse. It's terrible. The instrumental isn't even good either. It's honestly one of the worst hits all year in my opinion in this country, although there's only been about 5 because Sprinter's been number 1 half the year. Which, honestly, fair enough. I've not listened to the full EP. I will this week, trust me. But Sprinter's a banger. Anyway. Whilst the album is slightly less terrible after that, it's still boring and bland, and there are terrible moments vocally, especially on songs such as Things We Do For Love. But what I will say is that You Still Get Me High progressed well and was a bop. But yeah, that aside, this album did make me want to dance more than it made me want to sleep, because of how goddamn unoriginal it is. It also has laughably terrible moments, and overall, sucks. 1.8 out of 10. Moving on to Heady One and K-Trap's Strength to Strength. The grimy sound of the album was cool and all, but it was done pretty not well. Actually pretty badly. Ooh. The beat started too slowly, but sure, but... What was I... Was I drunk when I wrote this? What the fuck? The beats sounded the same throughout, and the lyricism straight up sucked, especially on Apple Pay, which has an awful sample of the actual Apple Pay, like, approved thing. Honestly, terrible song. But yeah, among that, Whilst the album was really offensively bad, it was pretty damn soulless and boring, especially for a drill album. Songs such as the title track and opener Park Chin-wah come to mind immediately. Rapping-wise, the opener aside, when they both sucked ass, did alright for themselves on a technical scale. Or how I wrote it, rapping-wise, the opener I literally just decided where they both sucked aside. Don't know what the fuck I was thinking when I wrote this. I think it was early in the morning though, give me a break. But yeah, they had good energy. Lyricism, already mentioned it sucked. But yeah, as I've said, the album was really like horrendous, and it did have AMPR, which slapped, and a few other solo cuts like Triple Threat. But yeah, overall, couple highlights aside, this was a 31-minute slog that with better lyricism and less bland beats could have been great. But yeah, is what it is. It's a 4.1 out of 10. Yeah. Moving on to Duncan Lawrence's Skyboy, and honestly, I've never forgotten an album as quickly as I presume I'll forget this one. Or maybe I'll remember it because of how forgettable it is, I'm not sure. Sure. The songs progress nicely, and the instrumentals, while relying heavily on what's already been done about a zillion times, aren't too bad throughout. The lyricism, it's fine, it's really offensive, but there are cringy lines here and there. But honestly, my main gripe is how forgettable this album is. Every song here individually is either a 5, 6, or 7. Literally, no exceptions, nothing below, nothing above. Definition of forgettable and uninteresting for most of its runtime. No real highlights apart from a few sections in, say, title track Skyboy, and a few others, and no lowlights apart from a few song intros where the first lyrics are really subpar. Nothing sticks out to me, and overall, it's a forgettable crap of ballads that won't stick like Arcade did. There's just no way. It's fine, it's not bad, I get why people would enjoy it, but it's really forgettable. 5.7 out of 10. Next up, Doja Cat with Scar. I did a little live reaction thing. I gave it a 6 then. It was a pretty strong one. I gave it another listen, and here's my full opinion now. This might be one of the funnest album experiences I've had in a while because, my god, was it so fun to listen to, and fun even when it was terrible, which is kind of a good thing to have in your locker if you suck. The lyricism on the entire album reeked, especially on 97 of Wet Vagina, and my god were there some funny and corny bars to enjoy, like that Fortnite one. But there are actual positives. First off, the album has some great beats. Trust me, they're fire from front to back apart from Wet Vagina, that song really is that bad. The beats on, say, WTA Freestyle and Fuck the Girls were kind of insane, to be honest, especially Fuck the Girls, that beat is incredible. Doja was energetic and had some great performances, especially on Demons, even though the lyricism don't really match, and WTA Freestyle. Demons, as much as it's degenerate, I kind of like it. It's kind of fun. But her vocals were lacking on some songs, especially on Paint the Town Red, which just had no energy and was so boring. But yeah, overall, this album was a mess. Lyrically, it was laughably awful at times, but the experience were enjoyable, even if there were moments where you felt a bit disingenuous or oblivious to what her recent decisions have done to her fanbase. Despite its shortcomings of an enormous magnitude, to be posh on that, it's pretty good. The beats are great front to back, and Doja has some nice performances. The decent lyrics, who knows how good this could have been. Maybe even her best. I don't know if it is her best, actually. I've not listened to any other Doja Cat album. 6.1 out of 10. Not bad on it either. Moving on to Steven Sanchez's Angel Face, which, it's cool, I guess. I respect the whole homage to 60s and 70s music he tried to go for, and he did pretty much try to make a TikTok album in that regard. He did try to make a TikTok album, and in that regard, he kind of succeeded, and he did well. There are some beautiful songs, such as Until I Found You, and the cut with Laufey. I talked about it like 10 minutes ago. No one knows. Open as Something About Her also had a bit, and was beautiful. His vocals were also great and stood out on some songs, such as Evangeline. However, is that how you pronounce it? Hopefully. However, this album was pretty basic, and Shake has been made about 50,000 times in the 1950s. I was convinced it was a cover to be honest. There's also the case of that the production just wasn't very good on some songs. The mixing on Only Girl was awful and just didn't create the smooth atmosphere created by a lot of the rest of the album. There were also other instances, but the album's so basic I forgot them. I can't remember what Be More sounds like at all. Overall, this album is basic and forgettable at points, but it has its standouts, where the vibe it's trying to create was created, and was overall decent. Nothing more than that though, but it was decent. 6.4 out of 10. Next up is Earth Gang, Rest in Peace, Human Art. Nice little EP. Not quite what I was hoping for, but like it was fulfilling enough. The Wake is a solid intro, but doesn't have anything else other than intro, which is really annoying. Die Today was basic and not that great, but like it wasn't bad or anything. This is followed up by Flavors of Karma. Honestly, everything about that song is kind of beautiful. The instrumental is great, the vocals are nice, the lyricism does its thing. Still slightly basic though. Imagine was another jam as it was beautiful lyrically, instrumentally, and vocally. But again, really basic. Bobby Butcher, the closer, mid. Doesn't do anything special at all, and it's not that good lyrically. Overall, EP, it's basic as fuck, and there are some duds, but this album is often pretty beautiful. This EP, is often pretty beautiful, and it's a nice little EP that is enjoyable to listen to. Not really what I wanted from it, and kind of disappointed, but like it's nice. It's not terrible. 6.9 out of 10. It's not the most disappointing thing I've ever heard. I'm not surprised. It's thingy. Moving on to Bakar with Halo. This guy has sort of developed a cult following with his style of indie / R&B / whatever you'd call it. To me though, he's good but not great. The instrumentals are largely basic and uninteresting, and Bakar's vocal delivery does create some duds such as Invisible. I get the appeal of it, but it's not fully for me. Not really a big fan of his style. But there are highlights instrumentally that create some beautiful highlights on the album, such as Alive and Hate the Sun. The vocals really weren't great anyway, but they were never so bad they ruined songs or anything. Lyrically, it was decent enough, but it didn't compel me that much. Last thing, I hate remixes. The Summer Walker remix of Hell and Back. Summer Walker, like, it wasn't bad or anything, but like, I don't like remixes. I'm biased, whatever. But hey, if I had a hit as big as Hell and Back on TikTok, I would milk it too. Overall, it's a great little album that has a group of mostly solid tracks, but there are moments of either end of the spectrum musically in my eyes, and it's nothing particularly special. 7.2 out of 10, I'll say, yeah. Lil Tecca with Tech is up next. It's not good. It's actually genuinely great, to be honest. The beats were hardly anything new, but if you do the basics right, who cares? £500 is basic at its core, but absolutely slapped to those who don't take it seriously. There are also a lot of songs like that, such as Used to This. However, it is basic, and in a fair few songs, Tecca doesn't have the best performance. In songs such as You Don't Know Tech and Monday to Sunday, he doesn't have the best performance and is actually somewhat annoying. Also some complete duds such as Real Discussions that were just not very good. However, these were few and far between, and overall, this is genuinely great. The beats went hard, the production was nice, and Tecca usually did enough to push songs over the line. The transitions were cool too. Nice surprise, it's actually good. Not good. Yeah, in my eyes. 7.4 out of 10. Formed an opinion before you, Fontano. Fuck you. Next up, Cannibal Corpse, Chaos Horrific. Very similar albums, very similar artists. Lil Tecca and Cannibal Corpse need to collab for real. Anyway, this album takes an unusual approach in terms of death metal. The production here is clean and the vocals are semi-understandable. It's pretty much a juxtaposition to your average death metal album or your average Cannibal Corpse album in the 90s. Like, show them I Come Blood off their earlier shit. Yep, that is a genuine song title, if you somehow haven't seen the memes of it already. And then show them sorting off this one. It's pretty different production-wise. But honestly, I think it worked. The instrumentals, while sometimes basic and a bit boring, and vocals honestly sounded really good from front to back, and I think they nailed the production. I don't know whether that's a popular opinion, but I've got to be authentic, it's mine. Anyway, now on to individual tracks. My favourite song is definitely Drain You Empty, as it does such a good job of doing the sensibilities. However, there are songs on the other side of the spectrum as duds, such as Pestilential Rectus. Most of it, though, usually in the middle. Obviously technically impressive bangers, but like they didn't fully hold my attention, so when they did their little death metal detours, it was slowly fading into background music. Then it woke me up, didn't have a clue what was going on. But yeah, overall, it's impressive. It has bangers, and aside from a few bores, it's pretty enjoyable. 7.4 out of 10. Next up, I don't know whether I'll get shit from this. For this, but Yule with Soft Scars. Honestly, I'm not the target audience of this album, I don't think. I like it a lot, but it's not clicking like it will for a lot of other people, and it has for a lot of other people. The instrumentals, they are cool, really cool, but at the same time, they strike me as uninteresting and basic in some way, especially on songs such as Cyber Me. Amongst this, The lyricism is kind of corny and repetitive on topics such as like flesh, and it's really cringy and also annoying. It's also the matter of the vocals, which have their audience, and the more the album went on, the more it's kind of in the audience. But on songs such as Opener XWX, I didn't really like them very much. But there is Aphex Twin Flame, and they kind of carried the song. So, hey. Overall, I like the album, but I don't love it. The instrumentals were great, but I had issues. The lyricism was fine, but sometimes it wasn't. Vocals were beautiful, but sometimes they weren't, in my eyes. Great album, but there's always little nitpicks I can have with it, it feels like, for its whole runtime. 7.5 out of 10. Moving on to Zach Bryan with Boys of Faith, and honestly, if his next album sounds like this, then I'm excited. This EP, every single song on it would probably be in the top 5 of his self-titled album this year. And while there is room for improvement still, I think he's improving. Nine Ball was a beautiful country song that does the sensibilities perfectly and reaches full potential. Sarah's Place had a really good instrumental, and Noah Kahan did absolutely amazing, but I'm not a big fan of Zach Bryan's voice, so that sort of showed on that one. Boys of Faith was produced amazingly until the second half, and then it just didn't sound good, and Bon Iver only got backing vocals, which didn't have much of an impact. Deep Satan is one of those songs that are good for but nothing special, but the closer Pain Sweet Pains finishes the EP really well as it progresses beautifully, even if it starts just fine. Overall, though, this EP is great and showcases its potential a lot more than even the flipping self-titled album to be the next country great, with far better instrumentals than a large majority of it shown in this little EP. If the next album is like this, we're in for a treat. Trust me. 7.9 out of 10. Actually good country project. We're getting towards the top now. Mike Wiki and The Alchemist with Faith is a Rock. The Alchemist never misses, and he shows it. He serves up some incredible beats, especially on Thug Anthem and Scribble Jam, for example. They were brilliant. But the lyrics, they were questionable. I didn't need Mike, who's basically just ill sweatshit, to unenthusiastically saying boom in my life, but here we are. One More also wasn't the best lyrically in my eyes, but some beats were pretty basic, and Bledsoe is one of the few slight duds in my eyes as it's just a bore. But when this album's good, it's really good. Songs such as Memory Loss are incredible in every department and showcase the full potential of this trio. Overall, this album is brilliant. Mike mostly does his thing, Wiki's voice is really appealing, and his verses were always nice, and The Alchemist showcases what he can do in his sleep. The Alchemist has had one of the best 2023s of anyone, let's be honest. Even if the whole Void Dire thing was a mess, I'll completely skip that album. I just can't be bothered with it. Larry June, though, the Larry June album was really good, and this was too, so hey, 8 out of 10. But at the top, it is Jeff with Loner World Volume 1. This EP had a phenomenal sound. Loner World freestyle was incredible in every way and lyrically amazing, especially if it actually is like not even pre-written. The instrumentals, flow, it was insane. Who was a really interesting and fantastic follow-up that was really fun to listen to. Gordon was basic beat-wise but fine nonetheless. Flag God Manners had a really fun beat and in general was a really fun listen, but Lucky Nine was the same song under a different name, so that was a bit of a bore and disappointment. The EP though does redeem itself with the closer, Doctor Can You Help Me, which has a great beat and great performance from Jev in it. Overall, for an EP, it's phenomenal. The sound's amazing, Jev shows off his insane potential lyrically and rapping-wise. The beats are mostly really interesting and great. Lucky Nine aside, 8.3 out of 10. Brilliant. And there you have it. It's our last lineup for September. How many people are in it? Everyone's dropped this September and everyone's dropped this week. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 actually. How many of them are going to listen to? 14. Who am I going to shout out but not listen to? Cash Kid, who's released No Socks 3, which features No Cap, I Swear Vezo, Dej Loaf, OGZ, Blue, Bucks Clan, Cash Doll, BFB the Pac-Man, Peasy, Lil Nell, Ralphie the Plug, 22 songs, 1 hour, 1 minute. Can't be bothered with it. Just one more thing. So that leaves us with 14 that I'm going to listen to. Let's start off with the big one. Lil Wayne, The Fix Before the Six, which features John Batiste, Euro, Cool and Dre, Fouché, and The Night After. 10 songs, 33 minutes long. I had hope for the EP, until it didn't. I'm going to guess a 4. Georgia Smith with Falling or Flying, which features Jay Huss and Lila EK. 16 songs, 43 minutes long, 6. The most random drop of the week, Tyga and YG. That's kind of the last thing I was expecting, to be honest, which features Lil Wayne, Busta Rhymes, Blast, and that's it. 14 songs, 37 minutes long. It's meant to be good, apparently. I'm giving it a 7 as a prediction. Arm & Hammer with We Buy Diabetic Test Strips. I love that album title. It's a collab album with Billy Woods and Elucid, which features JPEG Mafia. It also features Calavia. It also features Pink Sifu. Woo, woo, woo. LP. It features Jungle Pussy twice and Money. I'm not even going to say it, even though it's a double C. I think you know what word I mean. It features Pink Sifu once again and More Mother. Also features Curly Castro. It also features DJ Haram. And it features JPEG Mafia again. Hey! 15 songs, 53 minutes long. This one's going to be fire. 8. Cleo Sol with Gold. 10 songs, 42 minutes long. 7. Maybe. I think. Ed Sheeran with Autumn Variations. 40 songs, 49 minutes, 5. Some of the song titles are awful. I've already listened to Oliver Tree's Alone in a Crowd. Everyone was expecting this to be mid. Was it mid? You'll find out next week. Or you'll probably already sort of know it in your head. Features Supercomputer in the album too. May Muller, the Eurovision person thing, with Sorry I'm Late. Her debut, featuring Dylan, Naked, and Polo G. I think I've heard the Polo G one, it sucks. So I'm going to guess a 3. So, yeah, it has 17 songs, 48 minutes of runtime. If I haven't already said it. Animal Collective with Isn't It Now, 9 songs, 1 hour 4 minutes. This could be great or it could be awful. No in between, but I'm gonna guess in between because it's safe. 7. Wilco with Cousin, 10 songs, 42 minutes long. I'm gonna say 7. Cemetery's new EP, despite all the leaks and the absolute mess with it, has finally dropped. King of the Graveyard. It features Turnabout, 5 songs, 50 minutes long, 7. Ricky Montgomery with Rick. 14 songs, 40 minutes long. It's going to be a 6, I reckon. Walker Hayes with New Money. Don't have much hope for it. 8 songs, 22 minutes long, 2. Maybe 3, I'm feeling nice. And finally, Rome Street with Noise Candy 5. I was sort of debating listening to this, but do you know what? I've seen the feature list. It has Double D, Baldy James, Currency, Joey Badass. That's what convinced me to do it. And also Riggs. 14 songs, 39 minutes long. I'm going to guess a 7, but who knows? It's Griselda season. Westside Gun's dropping in a few weeks as well. About time. Conway can't drop everything this year. I know 38 Special dropped a few things, but I'm not sure Drumwork's even fully affiliated with Griselda. So, there's that. So, yeah, thank you very much for watching. Got a lot to listen to, as I always seem to. Hopefully it'll calm down soon enough, because I've still got a lot of re-listens I want to do. Bye!